Welcome to the St. Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. I'm your host, Will Santana, and
I'm Stan Lund, back once more.
hey, what's going on, Stan? How's it going, man?
Very good. How have you been, Will?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Just been watching a lot of NBA basketball, a lot of sports happening right now. You doing all right?
Yeah.
Well, what are you watching right now, Stan? Like, are you binge watching anything like cartoon series? It don't even have to be 80s, 90s related. Nothing, anything. What are you watching right now?
I've been trying to catch up on a lot of YouTube, but in terms of TV shows, I have a backlog of them to get through. I've got to get through The Flash, and I've got to I think I'm on like season 6 of that. I got to get through the most recent season of Family Guy, a whole season of Power Rangers. Speaking of Rangers, how's your watch through the greatest episodes going?
I took a break from it. I haven't watched it in a while. I've been watching Winning Time, a Lakers Dynasty series. It's on HBO Max about the Los Angeles Lakers showtimes.
Yeah.
I've been watching Ninja Turtles, the animated series.
Which one?
The 80, what year is it? 80 something?
The original cartoon.
Yeah, the OG one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm on like season 2. It's a little different rewatching that because I don't remember it as a kid. And seeing that Shredder is not really that intimidating on there.
Yeah,
he kind of retreats. Yeah, he retreats a lot. He's kind of a coward and Blade's praying a lot. Yeah, so it's a little weird watching that. I'm on season 2 of Static Shock. I've been watching that.
Good show.
And I forgot what else I've been watching. I've been watching something else.
Avatar.
Futurama. I've never watched.
You finally started Futurama. What do you think?
I like it so far. I'm on like episode 4, I think.
Are
4 or 5.
Starting to wish you may have gotten? Are you starting to wish you got some Futurama stuff signed by Billy West now?
Not yet. I'm not that fanboy yet, but I might get there. I actually like Phil Lamar's character a lot, man.
Hermes.
I don't know his name, but he has like a Jamaican accent or something.
Yeah, that's Hermes.
Okay, yeah, I like his character. I did not know Katie Seagal was on there. I instantly recognized her voice once I heard it. I was like, that's Katie Seagal, you know?
Yeah, Futurama is a great show.
Yeah, so I'm liking Futurama. There's nothing else I'm watching. So I'm watching a few documentaries here and there because I don't always like to watch cartoons and kiddie stuff. I like to watch grown-up stuff too, you know.
Right.
But I've been watching a lot of documentaries on Hulu and Netflix lately as well. Yeah, my thing is I don't like to just watch one thing. I kind of watch like maybe 2 to 3 episodes and then I go to something else. Yeah. But sometimes that hurts me because the one I like the least kind of gets forgotten. That's where Power Rangers is getting right now for me. Oh man. So anything else you watching? Watching any sports or anything?
NASCAR.
Okay.
Big NASCAR man. It's the only sport I actually care about.
Okay. I've been following that Vicky White and Casey White thing, the runaway. She was a sheriff's deputy and she helped one of the inmates escape. She fell in love with him. You haven't been hearing about that?
I think my mom actually said something about that earlier today on the phone that they caught him. I think.
Yeah, they finally got caught. They've been on the run for like 10, 11 days. Yeah, man. All right, so Stan, man, what are we going to review today, man? What's our filler? Matter of fact, before we get into that, everybody, just to let you know, this is another filler episode. We don't know when this will drop. It could drop before Dangerous Currency. It could drop after Dangerous Currency. It could drop after Joe Books. We don't know. This is just a filler episode. This is something for Mike and Tiffany when they have a break, but it's possible, Stan, it could get plugged in somewhere before.
It is possible that it could be in between Dangerous Currency and Joe Books because the main villain in this actually comes back in Joe Books.
Mm-hmm. So it's possible, but we don't know yet. I'll talk with Mike and see where this filler episode will go. All right. So Stan, what are we reviewing today?
We are reviewing the Darkwing Duck comic Feeling Flushed from Disney Adventures, January 1993, with a couple random guys on the front. As random I said to Will. Yeah, I didn't know it was Crisscross. They were around during when I was growing up, but I wasn't into that kind of music.
It's funny, guys, because I text Stan, because Stan, when I ask Stan what Disney Adventures magazine or issue do I need to pull out, he always gives me the month and the date, and he's giving me a hint to get my stuff organized. But I never.
Make it so much easier.
It would
All
make
I
it
had,
so much easier,
I
man.
mean, I have mine. They start from issue number 1 and they're stacked on top of each other. So all I have to do is look, see on the spines, be like, oh, there's that one. Pull it right out.
Yeah, so Stan always gives me the month and the year, and all my Disney adventures are not organized. I got doubles and triples, and sometimes when I'm going through, I'm like, didn't I just see this one? And I'll keep going. I'm digging and I'm digging. I didn't have it, but it was funny though, because I go back to Stan's comment or that text that he sent me, and he says some random guys.
Along with Max and Goofy's feet at the top.
Yeah. And it was weird to me because I know who Crisscross is. And I thought it was weird that Stan did not know who they were. I know everybody has different childhoods and did live in different areas, and everybody has a different genre of music. But like where I was located at the time, I was in Fort Riley, Kansas. I was about, what year you said? 91?
This one is January 93.
93. So I was 12 years old. I think Crisscross came out when I was 11. I think that's when they came out. So I was 12 years old, and Crisscross was a big deal. I remember at school, everybody was wearing their clothes backwards. Then we were wearing our jeans inside backwards, our jerseys were backwards. It became a style, man. It was a big deal. So I was a little shocked that you didn't know who they were.
You know what I wonder? I wonder if the comment in Back to the Future 2, which was released in 89, about all kids in the future wear their pants inside out, I wonder if that was a reference to Crisscross. Because
Really?
maybe that was right around when they were getting big. Maybe that's a little inside reference to them.
Now, what year was it Back to the Future made?
1989 was part 2, which is where that.
No, I don't think they were out yet.
No,
I don't think so, because they dropped like 3 or 4 albums, but that first album was the only one that was relevant. They had like 3 hit songs from that one. They had Jump, Warm It Up, and I Missed the Bus. So those were 3 big hits for them, and then after that they kind of fell off the map.
Yeah.
Yeah, the clothes wearing backwards stuff went out of style. Wasn't nobody wearing that anymore, so yeah,
except for the hat. Still backwards hats. That was a big thing in the 90s.
All right, so we're reviewing Feeling Flush today, and it's written by Jim Bricker. We mentioned him on our last filler episode, which was Let's Get Fiscal. We mentioned like 7 or 8 of his stuff that he written. So if you want to go ahead, Stan.
I was going to say, speaking of Let's Get Fiscal, I have a little bit of a correction to mention. When we set about to review that comic, I actually hadn't pre-read the comic like I normally do. So I actually got confused with another comic that was early. And I said the art was bad at the beginning, which you may have noticed at the end. I mentioned the art was good.
It was good.
Probably was like, what was he talking about? It was bad then. That's because in my head, I had it mixed up with another comic.
Oh. Okay, so yeah. Stan, we're going to review Feeling Flush without any spoilers. What did you think? Just a brief, don't get too depth. Don't get too in depth about it.
I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was pretty good too. It was good to see a new villain we never seen before, and there's a little joke inside about that too.
Yeah,
within the story. I thought it was cool, but I don't know why, Stan. But when it comes to these comics, I never like the ending. I don't know if that's just me being an adult now rereading these, or I'm not sure. But I do love that there's other Darkwing material outside of the episodes sometimes, because I'm not about to sit there and watch 91 episodes over and over, That ain't happening. And it's kind of cool to just get a different visual of it. All right, so let's get into this, Stan.
Hold on.
Say something. Oh yeah, we got a writer or a drawer.
Yep.
Go for it.
So as we mentioned, the writer was Jim Bricker. The pencils were done by Tom Bancroft. Mm-hmm. He did one other Darkwing story, which was Transportation Troubles. Though more notably, he's worked on animated films for Disney. He's been an animator on Roger Rabbit shorts, Aladdin, The Lion King, Mulan, and Brother Bear, to name a few.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got some big credits to his name.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So Stan, instead, you know what? Let's do a little different today. Instead of me starting us off on the review, you guide us in. How does this whole story start off, man? Get us going.
So it starts off with Darkwing and Launchpad at the scene of a crime, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a little piece of evidence left behind. And Darkwing decides to check his felon file to see if he can figure out which of the bad guys it is.
Mm-hmm.
Or rather, he has Launchpad look through it, but Launchpad doesn't find any felons except one DW might not want to mention.
Yeah. And it's funny though. I like some of the names they mention for the villains. It's not the usual. It's not the Quacker Jacks, the Bush Roots. We get names like Card Shark, One Eye Jack, 23 Skiddo, No Peaky Baseball. Was that no Peaky? Yeah, No Peaky Baseball. And then what else happens, Stan?
Well, like I said, the LP doesn't find any of the villains Darkwing's looking for,
Mm-hmm.
but he finds one villain Darkwing might not want to admit because there's a bunch of unpaid parking tickets in that particular folder.
Yeah.
Parking tickets, I'm sure Darkwing wishes the cop didn't just find out about.
Yeah. And Darkwing says, I must have left the felon file in another cape.
Yep.
All right. And then they jump up on the window ledge and they take off, right?
They jump from the window because LP has a button that's supposed to summon the rat catcher, but he forgot to put batteries in it, so they crash to the street.
Yeah, they crash. It looked like they hit the street, but then it showed them in the dumpster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like the drawing of them in the dumpsters because like they look exhausted, like they're hurt, and then you can see all the flies like around, like it stinks, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so what did they find in the dumpster, or what did Launchpad pull out? He pulled out something, didn't he?
The thing he pulled out, it wasn't actually something he pulled out of the dumpster.
Okay.
It was that red card that was in the first scene in the middle of the chalk outline.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that was picked up by either Darkwing or Launchpad.
Yeah, and it came from the casino, correct?
It came from the Chump Plaza Casino, yes. And
Mm-hmm.
I think Chump Plaza is a riff on some other person's Plaza Casino.
Okay.
Someone that rhymes with Chump.
I'm lost.
Someone who was a president.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because there is such a place called the Trump Plaza Casino.
Oh, I did not know that. See, I just learned something new.
At least that's what I think that's a reference.
It probably is because he was a businessman. He's always been famous, pretty much, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then LP reminds DW that they had been there before for an investigation on dog racing scam.
Yep. But it's this moment the Darkwing prompts them to get dangerous.
Yep. So we hear the catchphrase. We get to hear it on here.
Yep.
Yep. And then what happens next, Stan?
Well, LP keeps trying to tell DW that he has a plan, but Darkwing won't, hear it from him.
Nah, he won't hear from him. They go through the hitting vent or something, don't they?
Yeah, they go through a vent and they drop out into an unexpected scene.
Yeah, there's all these ladies in there, and they're telling congratulations or something, right? Like a surprise.
Yep, that he's Chump Casino's 100,000th patron or patron, I mean.
Yep. So he get kind of treated like royalty for a minute, don't he?
Yeah, but he doesn't take to it.
Yeah, he sure doesn't. He
dumps oddly everything. Enough, I mean, I think normally he would, kind of fall under the adulation spell, wouldn't he?
Mm-hmm. That is true. Mm-hmm.
I will say this one line is kind of uncharacteristic, though, where LP's telling DW that wasn't that bad and asking if he ever saw himself in a gold lace feather boa before, and Darkwing's like, you ever see yourself in a muzzle?
Yeah, I didn't like Darkwing's line after that too. That didn't sound like him to me either. When he says, "Prepare your peepers for the," I don't even know what that word is.
Paragum of peerless profundity.
Yeah, that don't sound like DW to me.
Well, I will say though, they do kind of call it out a couple panels after. But first, he
Mm-hmm.
does mention the terror that flaps in the night, even if it's not an actual entrance.
Mm-hmm. It's not an
But yeah,
actual entrance, but we get it. We kind of get a little bit of it. A
yeah.
little,
But I
yeah.
love how he crashes some launch pads. Like, was that Paragum or Profundity?
That's what I'm saying. Like some of the dialogue kind of threw me off a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of very big words in these.
Yeah. So they head over to the entrance of the Chump Casino.
The service entrance. Yeah.
Yeah, the service entrance. All right. And then what happens from there? Stan, take us away.
Finally, Darkwing admits he doesn't know where they're going, and Launchpad reveals that the thing they thought was a playing card is actually a business card for Pokerface.
Yep. And it says One Chump Plaza Casino, 17th floor, walk-ins welcome.
Yep.
All right. And then DW comes storming through that door, man. He knocks it
He
down.
kicks that down.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of the intro and the theme song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of that. And what's really weird is we see like the little Batman 60s of the hitting and stuff on the next.
We see that throughout. Yeah, there's lots of sound bubbles.
Yeah, we get the splat and whack and thwack and oof. We see all that.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, and we see DW and LP, they're chained up, and we see Pokerface, but from a distance.
Yep.
Yeah. So then we finally get to see Pokerface up close, and what happens from there?
Well, first I gotta ask, why are there so many villainous cats in Darkwing Duck?
I have no idea.
I mean, between the comics and the show, there's like a good half dozen of them.
No, you know what, Sam? I'm gonna hold off for us just a second. I know we're gonna review, we're gonna give Pokerface a score here. But quick, your opinion of his costume. What did you think of his costume?
To Alice in Wonderland.
I thought it was really cheesy too. I didn't like it at all.
His costume could use a bit of work.
Yeah. All right. Well, take it away, Stan. I'm trying to let you lead the day for a change. Go ahead.
So Pokerface wants to spill his plan, but Darkwing don't want to hear it. He's heard it too many times. He's not interested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they're chained up, and then Pokerface still trying. He keeps trying over and over to tell him his plan. Darkwing, he starts singing songs and stuff in his head, right?
Yep. Well, out loud.
Yeah, out loud. He's going la 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 la. Yep. All right, and then what happens?
Well, Pokerface reveals the villainous elixir.
Mm-hmm. Now, this part I got a little confused. Stan, it's like they were going up, but then they fell down. Does it say what caused them to fall down?
Well, I think Pokerface lowered them down.
Oh, he lowered them down.
Because it's a conveyor belt where they're supposed to be sliced and cut.
Mm-hmm. And then they were like on
In fact, you know what I think they're on?
What's
I think they're on a conveyor belt that makes playing cards.
Ah, that's what it was. I couldn't tell by the drawing, man.
Yeah, like at first I thought it might have been newspapers, but all those little red squares, I think it makes playing cards.
Okay. And then DW, like, does he tickle LP? Was that what the feathers were, or what was happening there?
Yeah, he rips a feather and tickles him, causing him to sneeze them off of the conveyor belt.
Okay.
That's
so that one part I was under. Okay. So that part I understood. It was the them getting lowered into the conveyor belt that kind of threw me off a little bit. Okay. All right. And then where do they land into after Launchpad sneezes?
Undiluted gambleholic toxin.
Yep. LP comes out fine from the toxin. It melted the chains a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were able to break through the chains and stuff, but DW is not the same.
Well, before we continue, we should mention what Pokerface's plan was, because he did mention his plan, even if DW didn't want to.
All right, go for it.
So he wanted to put the gambleholic toxin into the casino's drink supply, so no one will be able to stop him.
Mm-hmm.
And hence why when Darkwing comes out of the drink supply, well, not the drink supply, but the toxin, he is a gambling addict.
Oh, yeah. He gets insane with it. I really like the drawings of DW from here on out.
I'm a little surprised, though, it didn't affect Launchpad at all.
Yeah, it didn't even affect him one bit.
No.
All right, keep going then, Stan.
So yeah, all Darkwing wants to do right now is gamble, and
Mhm.
LP's trying to figure out good ways to snap him out of it. First, he mentions that the rat catcher's been stripped and put up on blocks. When that fails, he says that Megavolt just escaped and he's flying over the city in a giant toaster oven.
That didn't work.
That doesn't work. What finally works?
He told him that Gosling just dumped soy sauce on all your spare costume. He's like, what?
I'll give that 3-foot hurricane a piece of my mind, like.
Yeah, so DW finally snapped out of it, and then we see Pokerface again, right?
Yep, at the water supply.
Mm-hmm.
And he's remembering his villainous origin story.
Yeah, we kind of get it very briefly, and he got hit with some cars or something, right?
Yeah, and that's why he became a villain.
It's
honestly, that's one of the dumbest origin stories I've ever heard. I've heard some bad ones, but that's pretty bad.
Oh man, I thought that was funny when I read that. I was like, "What is that? What just happened? He got hit with the head with some playing cards. So now he's got a gambling problem."
Yeah.
Oh man, I thought that was hilarious. All right, keep going, Stan.
So, right before he's able to enact his master plan, DW shows up and we get an entrance. Why don't you take this one?
All right. He says, I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the winged scourge who's gonna run your inside straight.
Yep. But he doesn't quite finish because the gambling problem is back.
Yep. He says, I'll see your 5 and raise you 10.
Now, I will say we've kind of heard the winged scourge one, though, a different way before. Because usually, one of the most famous ones is I'm the winged scourge that pecks at your nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
But Pokerface, he's not going to play around. He's going to have his minions take him on. And I got to say, I actually enjoy his minions more than him.
Yeah, his minions, they had the names of all the deck of cards. One of them was Heart, Club, Spade, and Diamond. The Spade one was the only one I didn't get.
I think he's supposed to be like a 40s era, like smooth gangster type.
Okay, he was the only one I didn't get. The Diamond one I got because his vest was shaped like a diamond. The Heart one, he had like a tux, like that was like a heart. And then the Club, the mouse had like a club.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, but keep going, Stan.
So DW's in the throes of his gambling thing, and Launchpad bets him a nickel that he can't defeat the gang of crushing garish henchmen.
Which was a great idea from LP.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he defeats them really easily, except for the Club, right? That's the only one he struggled with.
No, he defeated the Club one pretty easily, though he gets a little damage.
Yeah, he get a little damage because he got hit in the foot with the Club, and then he
we're
is that the gas gun?
Supposed to be, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. First, he defeats the Heart, which there's heart jokes, like actual internal organ heart jokes. But honestly, I really like the Club guy. Like I imagine to have like a Tiny Toons-esque voice. It's like, you hoided my brother.
Yeah, and then he defeats the Club with the gas gun, which I think is supposed to be the gas gun.
It is, because the previous panel, the Club guy says, then give me your gas gun.
And then he defeats the Diamond by bringing a huge woman over. It says a woman's best friend is still diamonds.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we have the Spade guy left.
Yeah.
How did he defeat the Spade? What happens in his battle with the Spade?
Well, the Spade guy calls him a lunatic in a cheesy polyester costume. It's always a hard word. And Darkwing's like, nobody insults my wardrobe. And I love this next panel where Launchpad's like, yeesh, I've never heard those sound effects before. What sound effects are we hearing?
I'm not sure, because those are the words. I don't even know what those words are.
I can tell you.
What's that?
So there's garrote, which and I might have mispronounced it, but it's where you choke someone with like a thin wire. Then
Oh.
there's calamity, which is self-explanatory.
Mhm.
Immolate, which is to like engulf something in flames, and asphyxiate, which is to choke something.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that one. Mhm. And then
But
yeah, and Launchpad said I've never heard these sound effects before. And Pokerface man, this whole thing's about gambling. I bet you
yep,
have. Yeah. So now we get Darkwing versus Pokerface, right?
yep.
But it doesn't really get into like a physical battle.
Nope, they both feed into their gambling addiction. So
Hmm.
Launchpad has plenty of time to go get the police officer from earlier, and
Hmm.
they they arrive to see that Darkwing and Pokerface have been gambling, and there's been a bit of a wardrobe change.
Yeah, because Darkwing's been losing, so it looks like they're playing a little bit of strip poker or something.
Yep, Pokerface now has Darkwing's hat and cape, and presumably his shirt as well, because Darkwing's wearing a barrel. Like the only actual clothing he has left, it looks like, is his mask.
Yeah.
And Darkwing asks LP if he can spare him a sawbuck because he's a little short.
Yep. And then Pokerface lets everybody know he has another straight.
Yep.
All right, so Stan, all right, let's get into this review or of our scoring and stuff. Let's get into Pokerface first. All right. What did you think of Pokerface and what score would you give him?
Honestly, I would give Pokerface, if it's just Pokerface himself, I think I'd give him about a 2 to a 2.5.
Okay.
Because he's not a very effective villain. Like, we don't actually see him get his crimes to happen. He has
Mm-hmm.
one of the stupidest origins I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now if we were rating him with his thugs, his score would probably jump up to about a 3 because I really, really like those henchmen.
Okay, so overall you give him a 3 because you're including the minions.
If I include the minions, yeah, it'd be a 3. If not, then it's a 2.
Okay. Uh I don't know how to rate him. I'm gonna be honest with you. So I'm just throwing this out there. I didn't like his wardrobe, but I do like when sometimes when we get a new villain. You know,
Yeah,
I do like that. Sometimes it's a change of pace, it's a change of story. The whole gambling thing, I thought was funny, but then toward the end, it was starting to get kind of old. Like everything's turning into a gambling thing. But then it got funny again when you see DW without his clothes.
right.
Um, I will go. I'm gonna just play it safe, Stan. I'm just gonna give him a 2.5, right there in the
All
middle.
right.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give him a 2.5. I wouldn't mind seeing him again, but I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't want to see him as much as a Bush route. You know?
Right.
Yeah. So I wouldn't go that high. I'm gonna play it safe. And like you said, with the minions, they kind of make it interesting too. So
Yeah.
I want to stick with my 2.5. I'm playing it safe.
All right.
All right. And what did you think overall? What would you get the overall story?
The overall story, I'd give a 3. You know,
3?
it's kind of middle of the road. You know, there's some things that bring it down, like the dumb origin. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Poker Face's lackluster costume. You know, the fact that he doesn't really end up being a very effective villain, and the fact that there's just a a few things that are very confusing or out of place. But there's some really good moments. I mean, I love the henchmen. The idea of how to snap Darkwing back to himself. Oh, Goslin dumped soy sauce on your costumes. It's like, that's pure genius right
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
And I will say that the ending, how they beat him was kind of funny as well. The fact that he and Darkwing just couldn't get over their gambling enough for a real fight.
Mm-hmm. Um, I think I'm gonna go 2.5. Also, the same score I gave Poker Face. Like you said, the story is pretty smooth all the way. I'm okay with it. I like it. I enjoy it. To be honest with you, I agree with a lot of things you said. I thought the Poker Face origin story was just stupid. Like, man, that's got to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard in an origin
Yeah.
story. And I'm so glad you said that because I was gonna say that too. I was waiting to see if you were gonna catch that. I was like, maybe Stan thought it was funny or something, but I thought it was the dumbest origin story ever. Um, I think Launchpad is so underrated in this episode. Like he's constantly trying to tell DW about the business card. He never gets a chance to say it. Then he's trying to get DW, like you said, he's trying to convince DW how to break him out of the spell, you know? And then like he knows how to snap him out of it. He does that. I think Launchpad is pretty good in this one. I like Launchpad.
Not to mention, without him there to tickle, Darkwing would have become playing cards.
Yeah. So I'm gonna stick with 2.5. What did you think of the drawings?
You mean the art?
The art.
I thought the art was great.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool too. Like I said, I liked his eyes and stuff when he. Was,
very expressive when he's under the gambling spell.
Okay. So yeah, overall we're gonna give Feeling Flush. I'm gonna give it 2.5, and you gave it a 3, right?
Yep.
Yeah, not a bad episode or comic, not a bad comic to read. Yeah,
now,
bad.
Since this is a filler and we don't know when it's dropping, should we mention a possible return for Pokerface?
Yeah. Go ahead. Possible. Yeah, go for it.
So, Pokerface, when you're seeing this, you may have either already seen his return or he may be yet to return, but you will see more Pokerface somewhere.
Okay. All right. Now, Stan, we got a little bit of time left. You didn't get to review as many episodes with us. I think you reviewed like maybe 3 or 4, correct?
Episodes. I think the only episode I ever reviewed with you guys was Steerminator.
That's the only one? I thought you also did Time and Punishment.
No, I wanted to, but that was Tim, I believe.
Ah, okay. So
yeah, Time and Punishment was one on my list. I had originally wanted to do that one. I had wanted to do Life, the Negaverse, and Everything. Going Nowhere Fast and Dead Duck were all among ones that I wanted to do that I never got the chance to.
Okay. So Stan, you're a big Negaduck fan.
Yep.
You didn't get a chance to review Disguise the Limit.
No.
Mike mentioned Disguise the Limit as one of his top 5 underrated episodes.
It's a really good episode.
I agree with him. I think it is underrated. I didn't put it on my top 5 list, but it's definitely a top one. It's definitely up there, you know. What would you just briefly discuss Disguise the Limit? What you think of the episode and what kind of score you would have gave it?
So Disguise the Limit was a great episode. I love how Darkwing keeps, turning into the different, characters, culminating with him turning into Negaduck. Darkwing's not gonna need a ray. He'll need an ambulance. Plus, it has one of the best cerebellum lines. Who is this pushy kid? I love Negaduck's confusion every time Darkwing changes into things like "Goo God, ugh, what happened to you?" And of course, who can forget that classic scene where Darkwing as Negaduck and Negaduck keep bringing different, larger instruments of war to destroy each other. Where they're like, okay, well, I'm going to bring a plane. Well, yeah, I'm bringing an aircraft carrier.
All right. Okay, so Stan, so what score would you give it?
I'd give that one a solid 4, maybe even a 4.5.
Okay. So I see you really like that one. Okay. I like it too. I'm not gonna lie. I really like The Sky's the Limit, man.
And you're right, it is an underrated episode. Not too many people talk about that one. It's always the heavy hitters like Life, the Negaverse, and Everything. Darkly Dawns the Duck. Just Us Justice Ducks.
I think I'm the only person who just thinks Darkly is just so overrated, man. I'm just not feeling that episode. I think people are just so in tune to it because it's an origin story, man. But I personally didn't like it.
There's more than just the origin to love in that one, but maybe that'll be something we'll discuss another time.
All right. So Stan, for the people tuning in for the first time, where can they catch us at?
Stitcher, Spotify, Google, iTunes, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Facebook, YouTube, Pandora. There's probably more, but I'm drawing a blank.
Okay. All right. Well, today I want to give a shout out to Mike Peraza. I saw him and his wife were being booked at a con. I believe it is in Iowa. and I think Mike Peraza doesn't get as much love as he should with all the work he did for the Disney Afternoon and just Disney in general. So that's who I'm going to give my shout out to, Mike Peraza. Anybody you want to plug, Stan?
Oh, I do kind of want to say one thing, since as recently as of when we're recording this, we lost George Perez, who was a very influential comic book artist.
Mm-hmm.
So rest in peace, Mr. Perez.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. So that's going to wrap up this filler episode, our review of Feeling Flush. We don't know when the next filler episode is going to drop, but just until then, stay dangerous.
Stay dangerous, everyone.